How does Amazon Q's code generation capability impact application security, and what are the best practices should development teams adopt to ensure AI-generated code meets security standards? And before that, like I've seen like 70% of the codes that are being generated with ChatGPT or other LLMs are vulnerable because they're being trained on vulnerable code bases. And yeah, that's the question.
Okay, yeah, I would say that it is a very, very good tool. It is amazing for rapid, accelerated development, but it should never, as with anything that isn't developed or at least checked off by a human, should not be implemented into any production environment without at first checking or some form of penetration testing, which board security does provide. A plug in there, but I would say for any LLM, even prior to LLM, even any machine learning based or computer based, rule based create code creation, it should always be tested first, heavily, extensively to any security compliance standards. For best practices, manual code reviews, as fun as that is, manual code reviews during Scrum meetings. There's even analysis tools you can use for security flaws. And double checking organization security policies outside of just regional ones.
Yeah, manual code reviews could have prevented a number of things. The solar winds attack could have been prevented because someone put some code in, it went through the pipeline, got signed. A gate on the pull request, hey, manual code review is required. That would have helped. Same with the recent one with CrowdStrike, right? Like someone went and changed something, it got deployed into people's computers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, manual code review, and then of course, adding automated security tools in the pipeline as well. So adding your typical SaaS, then particularly SaaS, I don't know if SCA will help much in this case, but some specialized SaaS tools, and then educating developers on secure coding practices, as always.
Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
Also,
more, but I would say the more boring it is, the more secure it is at the end,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
not
Uh,
always, yeah, but I
oh,
believe also we should come up with better prompts. Like developers, they don't know how to write secure prompts.
yeah. Yeah. Prompt engineering is like the one tip I will give. So I work primarily on Gen AI tools in AWS. The number one tip, the question I always get the most is how do I write better prompts? Ask the LLM. I'm not even joking. Just the thing that you wanted to create, say, hey, I would like you to create X, Y, and Z. Give me a good prompt. Here's the parameters. Here's an expected output. That LLM will know its limits, and that LLM will tell you exactly how to ask a specific prompt. So if you wanted to come up with a specific function in a code, or you wanted to create a script to parse through certain things or apply a group policy or anything, and you're using an LLM, ask that LLM, how would I write this? Here's the security compliance standards we're meeting. Make it adhere to these.
Awesome.
That's the best. Ask the LLM how you would want it to ask itself, and usually you
Yeah,
get
that's true.
Yeah, reinforcement learning,
yes.
And can you discuss the potential security risks and benefits of using Q to analyze and refactor existing code base, especially a legacy application with known vulnerabilities, actually?
I would say the biggest risk is definitely the resurfacing of legacy code when using Amazon Q. There are times where it might, if you are working with a hybrid, whether it's half legacy, half modern, or you are working on modernizing something, and you try to train off of you provide that legacy data to Q to learn from, you may unintentionally introduce new bugs or pre-modernized code that ends up flaring up security issues,
Yeah.
uh, especially in complex legacy environments. Which there you go, manual code reviews once again. Um, yeah,
Awesome.
I think that's a good portion of the risks.
What one interesting thing for the audience to think about is that the tool might misinterpret the context or logic of the code, and that could actually lead to some interesting functional errors or even security issues, right? And the other thing I was thinking about is that the AI generated refactoring might actually inadvertently reduce, like put in new vulnerabilities if you don't carefully review them. So of course, there's that whole bias problem. I mean, if it's reading bad code and it's got security vulnerabilities and it's trained on that, but further, its ability to come up with new things based on existing data could introduce new vulnerabilities if not reviewed by people.
Yes, absolutely. Be careful with what you are exposing to Q. You want to make sure that the context that it's given is the context that it's going to take from. It will read every single line you give it. If you're giving it a lot of legacy code, it's going to learn from the legacy code or
Yeah.
legacy. It doesn't even have to be code. It could be data structuring, schema, control lists, how logs are formed. It could be any little thing that can be overlooked
Yeah.
to querying any specific list history of queries, which you definitely don't want to share with an LLM. History of specific access permissions based role-based permissions. There's anything you give it, it'll learn from.
Yeah, totally. And I guess the one upside, like let's flip it now, talking about benefits. Like the one benefit is that it can quickly identify outdated or insecure code or patterns and suggesting modern, better ways of doing it, more modern alternatives, right? So that refactoring becomes a lot more efficient. It speeds up that process of modernizing legacy systems. I've used it to convert old scripts from one language to the other because it looks at it and it can easily refactor it in a different language. So that can potentially reduce the window of exposure for known vulnerabilities. So something to think about.